doing in sales and driving the performance up a little bit. And a couple of points when you start multiplying it by millions is quite a bit of money. Same thing in rental. You know, to me, what does high performance look like in rental? Rental is really all about utilization. What percent of the time are you actually utilizing the equipment you've got there, and the repairs and stuff that are coming back in on it, so we can write those off. But what does that look like in terms of high performance? And then just your business office. And this is one of the areas that I always find that dealers say, well, what do you mean? You know, how do we measure business office? There's certain things your business office, your accountant, your bookkeeper should be doing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. What are they doing now? And what would high performance look like out of your business office? What do you expect them to do other than just keep track of things? There's more they should be doing than that. So I think what you have to do, in my mind, is you have to go back and say, okay, well, what does it look like in service, parts, sales, rental, your business office? If you have another profit center, what would that look like for you? And then that's what we're going to do. So at the end of 2018, if I were able to accomplish this in service, parts, sales, rental in my business office, that would be, in my mind, what I would call high performance. Next year, it's probably going to be different. But this year, all we're looking at right now is 2018. What would it have to happen in your profit centers and your business office for you at the end of 2018 to go, wow, we kicked it out of the park? And I'm just telling you, it's going to be a little different for every dealership out there, but each of you is responsible. Owners and general managers and department managers, you're responsible for making a determination of what does high performance look like in your department and for the dealership as a whole. So that's my challenge to you a little bit. The thing we have to also understand is the difference between management and coaching. As I was doing my sales or my boot camp this last week, we had a 2-day boot camp there, and I said, you know, one of the challenges I think we have a mistaken understanding of in a dealership is the difference between managing and coaching. And as I told the group of people that I had last week, I said, you know, most of your time in a dealership is spent doing the wrong thing. Your number one priority in a dealership is the management priority, but it actually is the smallest part of all you should be doing. But it is in the beginning the most important part. So I want to talk about the management side of managing a high performance dealership, and then kind of at the end we're going to talk about coaching, because it's really something you should be spending a lot of your time on. It doesn't take a lot of knowledge to do it, but it's part of what you should be spending your job on. So as we look at the management side of your dealership and managing these new numbers now that you've set for yourself for this goal for 2018, right? We have to say, okay, well, what are the critical functions of a manager? What is it critical that I do as a manager? Well, the first thing is, and the number one responsibility for a manager is creating department processes. See, that's the thing when I go into dealerships, or Jim or Brian or Jeff, we go into dealerships and we're consulting with dealerships. The biggest thing that I find lacking, and probably 80% of the dealerships we are in, is there's no processes for each one of the profit centers, each one of the departments. Everybody's kind of doing their thing. I was in a dealership here a while back and I was talking to the parts manager. I said, so where's your parts processes at? Well, how do we do special orders, emergency orders? When do we do our stocking orders? When parts come in from the manufacturer on your stocking orders, what's your process for getting those put up, getting those away? What's your process for your inventory counts, your cycle counts on your inventories? And he goes, well, we just do it as we kind of find time to do it. And I go, well, you don't have a process then? And he goes, well, yeah, we do. And I go, no, if it's not written down, it's not a process. He said, well, I know what to do. And I said, well, if you die in a car wreck tomorrow, I'm screwed in my dealership because all of the process is in your brain. Your job as a manager, whether you're a service manager, a parts manager, a sales manager, a rental manager, right, or a general manager, or the bookkeeper or accountant, your job, your highest priority in the beginning is to make sure that you document your processes. Because processes are what make everything happen and give us the ability ultimately to create the high performance that we're looking at. So your number one function as a manager, right, is to document, create, if you haven't got them created, create them and document those processes, okay? The number two thing is directing a team, okay? So you've got a team of people that you're going to direct. And then the number three thing is hiring. So as a manager, it's defining processes, directing the team, and then hiring for the department. That's your primary functions as a manager. So let's talk about processes. And I get nutty on this because in our business, I tell people, once you get your processes defined by department, everything starts working better in your dealership. When I see that there's problems or issues, things not working right, in almost all cases, it's because I have a manager who hasn't put any processes in place. And processes are all about your ability to repeat something. There's an old saying, repeatability creates profitability, and that's true. I tell people the more you repeat something, the better you become at performing it. If you don't have a process, then every day is a new day. And all of a sudden you start having fires, and you're spending your time as a manager. I always laugh. You're spending your time as a manager, as a firefighter, instead of the arsonist. Your job as a manager is to have processes. The better your processes, the less fires you put out. When I hear managers tell me my whole day is about putting out fires, you suck as a manager. You're not doing what you should be doing. Your job as a manager is to get the processes in place so you don't have those fires over and over and over again. Doesn't mean you're not going to have a fire, but if you have a fire, you can identify what part of the process broke down, fix that part of the process so that fire doesn't come back up again. Unless you love firefighting, unless you love spending all day long putting out fires, build your processes and get them in place. Why do you put process and document? Well, number one, it makes it easier to add and train employees. If I'm a parts manager and I don't have processes in place, and let's say that I have Bob, the new parts person, comes in, and I don't have any process, and you say, well, Bob, I just want you to follow Billy there at the parts counter and just kind of shadow him today, and you'll learn what to do from there. Okay, that's a terrible way to train an employee. Number one, you've doomed them to fail. Let's say Billy's terrible at what he does, and he's a screw off and doesn't do things well. So you're putting